What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Engine House. I'm your host, Cody, and if this is your first time, welcome. Grab some coffee and pull up a chair. Before we jump in, I just need to mention a couple things. This podcast is brought to you by Engine House Designs. That's my company. We specialize in custom apparel. Whether it's hats, hoodies, or jackets, they can be embroidered or printed, patches, decals, and flags. We can also help you solve your ordering problems by hosting a custom online store for your department. We do all this to help ignite pride in firemen across the nation. Check us out at enginehousedesigns.com or hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. We are at Engine House Designs on pretty much all platforms. I also want to thank the Kitchen Table Foundation for sponsoring this episode. Kitchen Table Foundation envisions a national community in which every first responder is recognized, supported, and empowered, where connection overcomes isolation, and where the enduring values of service, sacrifice, and solidarity are upheld through every season of the job and beyond. They exist to strengthen brotherhood and sisterhood in the fire service, law enforcement, and EMS. They provide a place for first responders to gather, break bread, and find connection through camaraderie, shared experience, and support. They're rooted in tradition, built on trust, and driven by service. They aim to uphold the mental and emotional well-being of those who run toward the call. Check them out at thekitchentableffoundation.org. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, or maybe you want to see a certain person be a guest on the show, or maybe you just have a question or idea, reach out by emailing enginehousepodcast@gmail.com. And do us a favor too, hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening. It helps us keep this thing going, and it lets you know the second that a new episode drops. All right. Now that the housekeeping's out of the way, let's get into it. So today we have a little bit different type of show. It's going to be a hot seat episode. And with the hot seats, it's guest-centered, and where basically we get to know the guest, kind of what they've done in life or sometimes in the fire service. And it's mostly guest-centered. So today we'll start with the size up. The point of the size up is when someone new walks into the firehouse, first thing you do is you size them up. So we need to know your name, what your current job is, since we have a civilian on today, and then kind of how many years you've been doing that and what you like about it. And if there's anything else you want to throw out there, go for it.
I'm Erin. I am obviously Cody's wife. I stay home with our kids for the last, let's see, how long has it been now? 5 years? 6 years? Almost 6 years now. Mostly embroidery. I don't really get out of that room very much.
Yeah.
So kind of living there.
Very true. All right. You also work at Mother's Day Out too, right?
Yep, Mother's Day Out, which is, from my understanding, it's a pretty southern thing. There's not like Mother's Day Out everywhere. So, for people that don't know, it's like a glorified daycare, but with like more curriculum based structure, like school structure versus like daycare.
Okay. And you love it. You've been doing it for how many years? You've been doing that?
Since 22, so going on 4 years. I do love it. If I was fresh out of high school, I probably would have stuck with going to be a teacher. I love kids and teaching, and which has been nice now that we are homeschooling. Getting to do like the teaching aspect with our kids has been really fun.
Yeah. And homeschooling has been a bit of an adventure too.
Mm-hmm. Wade did 2 years of public school, and then we decided to bring him home this year, and he has just thrived being home, and just seeing him grow in areas that he was struggling in public school has been pretty awesome.
Absolutely. Well, what have you been up to lately? I mean, I know what you've been up to lately, embroidery and homeschool and stuff, but, is there what else do you do?
Mostly just like kind of staying home with our kids. But yeah, embroidery, helping just like in different aspects of our business. And then one of my goals for 2026 is I'd really like to grow my social media. I feel like we have like the perfect setup with our life and business and homeschooling, being a stay-at-home mom, and then like obviously a fire wife kind of falls into that too.
Sure. Which is one of the reasons why I wanted to use you on the show today. Mm-hmm. We've been together almost 10 years. It'll be 10 years this year in August. And you also grew up as a fire child.
Yep.
I don't know if that's a commonly used term or not, but
it is now.
Your dad is retired now, but he was a fireman for a long time. So you grew up around that. You obviously have been by my side through my entire career.
Yep.
So that's almost 30 years of experience around the fire service. So
yep.
I figured you've at least seen your mom do it for a long time. You've been doing it for almost 10 years now. There might be something that you might be able to share for someone who's just starting off as a fire wife, that maybe they could benefit from. So, like I said, this is going to be a hot seat episode. It's going to be mostly centered around Erin, the things that she's experienced growing up and being married to myself. So I'm sure there's a lot that you've experienced.
Yep.
Good and bad, maybe.
Mostly good.
But to kick this thing off, what would you say is one of the funniest, maybe firehouse stories or fire-related stories that either myself or your dad has told you?
Honestly, the one that always cracks me up is the donuts.
Oh, the donut runs. If you don't know, in Memphis we do something called the donut run, and maybe this is something that happens around the country too, but I hadn't heard about it until I moved to Memphis. So in the middle of the night, typically the ambulance will stop and get donuts, but whatever company has been out running most of the night and the other ones have been sleeping, they'll pick up donuts and they'll get on the PA and they'll say, we got fresh donuts out here. If you don't eat them, you wear them. And those that don't come to the table to get one end up being forced to eat them or at least wiping it off their face. So, but yeah, that is a story that you tell all the time.
That's like a common one that I always think of when I think of funny stories. But I mean, y'all prank each other all the time, and just like, what was the when you're at, I think it was the 22s and you did like the hot sauce.
Yeah.
Just like how you prank each other all the time, and just like the camaraderie of just the funny things you do to each other always kills me.
What would you say your favorite firehouse memory was growing up?
I don't, that's a good question. I don't know if it's necessarily a memory, but just like, I always loved, growing up and just like knowing that there would always be like, I could always call somebody, just like the family aspect of it. Funniest story. There's one time we were taking a picture on, I think it was the engine, I'm assuming. And there's something on the back where you can lift up and a bunch of water comes out.
Yeah.
So a bunch of us were up on the engine for whatever reason taking a picture, and the deputy chief was the one taking the picture. I'm pretty sure it was my dad pulled the lever and just like shot water at him. That's one off the top of my head that I can think of.
That's funny. What would you say your best or worst memory from when either myself or your dad was on shift?
I mean, best memories will always be taking the kids up to the station, just like seeing the joy that they get out of it. And like, it's not just like us going to see dad, or like it's the kids get to go see their other family, and just how, whether it's been like us coming to see you here or like when you're still in Princeton, like our kids were always treated like their family. And I've always loved that.
Yeah. And they're always so excited to come up. They're always very excited when we're FaceTiming, to talk to the guys or whatever. It really is just a family aspect.
It really is. And it's always been like that, whether you're here or on Princeton. Like when I take the kids up to like see my dad when he was on shift before he retired, it was always like that no matter what. And so I've always loved that aspect of it.
Yeah. What's your go-to meal when I'm on shift?
Girl dinner. Charcuterie plates for me or the kids. They love when we do like snack boards for dinner.
Yeah. All right. Well, now that I kind of get you warmed up to the mic now. So, I wanted to kind of start with our backstory,
Mm-hmm.
you know, how we met, our early years, and kind of how we've grown. We've gone through some challenges in 10 years.
For sure.
I don't think they're typical challenges of a relationship. It's not anything with like, you know, disloyalty or anything like that, but we've gone through some shit for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But we met because of some friends, my best friend and your best friend,
Mm-hmm.
who are related through marriage.
Yep.
Hooked us up, and I think, you know, we hung out. You didn't really care for me the first time.
I thought he was a tool.
I am a tool. No. And then I was, you know, for me, I was kind of like, whatever. But
Oh no, he wanted it.
yeah. And then I think I had posted that I was going to see Dustin Lynch,
Yep.
and someone,
No, you posted that you said, who's going to see Dustin Lynch? And I commented and said, you should go. I'm going.
I was going to go anyways. It had nothing to do with her.
Yeah, it was absolutely to do with me.
But went to Dustin Lynch with one of my buddies, and periodically throughout the concert, someone kept walking by, some
I don't know
good-looking
who.
redhead. And then we ended up hanging out afterwards,
Mm-hmm.
and we just kept hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually you became a girlfriend,
Mm-hmm.
and it wasn't long after that my grandma passed away.
Yep.
And you were just there for me pretty much through all of that. And we just continued to grow from there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we ended up having a kid.
Yep.
Kind of in the wrong order, but
Accidentally.
yeah, I accidentally had a kid. And then I
Hold on.
proposed.
We have to tell the story of how you reacted when I told you that I was pregnant.
We'll tell him.
So at the time, Cody was working a normal like 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., but I was working 7 p.m. to 3:30 a.m. So I came home from a shift, took a pregnancy test, woke him up at 4 o'clock in the morning and said, "Hey, I'm pregnant." And you're like, oh, okay. Rolled over, went back to sleep. And then you woke me up when you got up for work, and you're like, Did you wake me up and tell me you were pregnant? I was like, yep. And you're like, all right. And I was like, that's all you got? And you're like, there's nothing we can do to change it.
Yeah, well, what's done is done.
That's how I knew he was the one.
The deed had been done.
Yep.
So that's when I knew I had to marry this woman. The first indicator
Because I was pregnant?
the first indicator was the cookies. Then you got pregnant. I was like, this is a for sure done deal. But proposed. I actually used our son to propose.
Mm-hmm.
And then we ended up getting married. And on our honeymoon, I had been working part-time, and basically I was working double the amount of hours I am now to make less than what I'm making now as a full-time fireman in Memphis. And so I was on this page, it's fire training opportunities, hiring opportunities. She was on the page, and we're both consistently looking to see who was hiring, stuff like that. So we're sitting there on our honeymoon,
Mm-hmm.
and you said, hey, Memphis is hiring lateral firemen.
Yeah, and they were doing their interviews in Chicago.
Right, which was about 2 hours away from where we lived. And I was like, what the hell is a lateral fireman? She said, well, if you have your basic operations certification and 5 years of experience, I think it was like 2 years career or 5 years volunteer,
Mm-hmm.
then you could get hired. And I met the requirements. I applied, and next thing you know, we were moving to Memphis.
Well, you went originally you're like, I'm just gonna go, and this could just be practice,
right.
Since like fire interviews are like this big deal.
Right.
So you're like, I'm just gonna use this as practice, if nothing else.
Sure. And I remember the guy that was taking me up to my room to interview. He's like, "Man, are you nervous?" Yeah, I'm nervous. I'm trying to get a job. He's like, "Don't be nervous. You got it already. You're gonna get hired." And I'm like, "Whatever, dude." And now I know that there's nothing to worry about. If you apply to Memphis, you're gonna get hired.
Warm bodies.
Yeah. But no, I mean, and that's really where our journey started. I think. I mean, the first part of our relationship moved so fast, and we were young, but being on our own in a city that we knew nothing about, with no help, we had to figure it out.
Yep.
That really started our relationship, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's also where all the challenges came in.
Yeah. It was right after we got married.
Right.
So I think that was like a huge key that we like for us being successful in our marriage, because we got married and then what was it, like 3 months later, we moved somewhere on our own. Like we could only depend on each other.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm going to fire school Monday through Friday, and you're alone in an apartment in a city you've never been, you know. What was that like?
Lonely. It was so lonely. I remember, because obviously we didn't know people, and Wade was still so little. We moved here and he wasn't even 2 yet. So I was alone. I remember just like posting on different Facebook pages and stuff, just like wanting friendships, because it was just so lonely sitting there, the two of us. And then in the midst of it, we moved there, and then COVID shut the world down.
Right. Yeah, we couldn't even explore this new city that we moved to and see all the fun things, because you had to be 6 feet apart and wear masks and
try to make a 2-year-old wear a mask.
Yeah, doesn't work. I can't believe any of us wore masks, but
agreed.
No, and then we ended up getting our first house.
Yep.
With the help of your parents. We moved to Millington, which is where we're located now. And then came the next challenge. I started paramedic school.
Yep.
So then, as you like to say, you became a single mom again.
Sure did.
So she was a single mom in fire school. She was a single mom in advanced EMT school. I guess we skipped over that.
Oh, yeah.
And then I went to paramedic school, and she became a single mom again.
Well, and we had our second child, and we brought her home from the hospital in the midst of advanced EMT school.
Yeah.
So you were either at work or you were at clinicals.
Right.
And so I was home with 2 kids and zero help, because we still didn't really have a good community at that point.
No. And the first 3 years of working in Memphis, I mean, I'm sure the beginning of everyone's career is a grind, but the first 3 years in Memphis are a grind. You're going to school, you're doing clinicals, and you're working, riding the unit, you know, pretty much every day you got something going on. So, and it's really is not a married man's game.
No.
So to speak. So I applaud you for sticking it out and doing what needed to be done. So a lesser woman wouldn't have made it.
Right.
But no, started paramedic school, and you're pretty much doing it by yourself. And I would come home and say, you know, I feel bad because I need to help you and do all this and that, but I'm not really getting time to study. And you told me, you're like, don't worry about me. I got this. Just go study. Because if you fail this, we're moving back to Illinois. You know, I'm not going to keep my job. We're not going to be able to get a house.
Right.
So, you know, that was helpful that you recognized that. Sent me off to do my schoolwork. And then came the biggest challenge of our marriage so far. We had a tree fall on our house during a storm, and a big tree, and it completely destroyed the house. It's actually a miracle that the house was still standing. Thankfully it was, because me and the two kids were in there at the time that it fell,
Mm-hmm.
and y'all ended up having to move back to Illinois
Mm-hmm.
for about 14 months. Give me just a brief summary of how that impacted you.
I mean, it was so hard just because, like, we weren't together. And so, honestly, the hardest part navigating through all of that was helping the kids with their emotions of missing dad, not having our own space. They've essentially lost, like, all of their toys, pretty much everything. So, like, trying to get them toys and all of that. That part was hard, but honestly, you were 6 months into paramedic school. You weren't really present anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't really different for me other than like that 3-month span that we went not being able to see each other.
Right.
That part wasn't really hard. And I feel like it forced us to communicate better because I think that was an area that we weren't great in.
Yeah.
And we kind of had some bumps in the beginning of us. And we lived with Cody's parents. So I think it helped me grow in my relationship with my mother-in-law, which
Absolutely.
we had always been close, but it made us even closer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was a lot harder, I think, on the kids than it was on me because I was just kind of used to shouldering it all and just handling it.
Yeah. Well, the first time I visited, Addie reminded me that she was my daughter.
It's me, Addie.
Yeah, it's me, Addie. No, and then 14 months later, y'all moved back in
Mm-hmm.
at the house that we're in now, where we run our business, and then that started that adventure.
Mm-hmm.
We'd had the business, but it wasn't what it is today.
No.
You know, in 2025 we broke $100,000 in revenue, which is just I never thought it would get up to that in 2020 when we started doing this. And it's been an awesome adventure. It's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking the bulk of the production, so I can
Mhm.
focus on planning and the future and the administrative side. So,
Right.
you know, it's part of our story too. But no, I mean, yeah. So we've got a little bit of a backstory. So she's definitely qualified to be sitting in the seat today. But all right. So what would you say growing up around the fire service, what would you say some of the unique challenges or some of the complications with that, as far as like that you remember from the family aspect?
Mm-hmm.
What were some of those growing up?
I think like a huge thing is like holidays, because I remember we would have to like either get up super early to do Christmas like before we went to work, or like we would have to do it at a different time. So I remember that being a huge thing, but I feel like my mom shouldered it so well that I didn't really see a ton of the like hiccups or complications. I mean, there would be obviously the times that you would have to like, because they do in Princeton, you get a pager and you have to go in when there's a call. Not all the time, but like when there's, what do they call it? All call?
Yeah, they do. So basically what they do is when there's a fire, or if they kind of get overwhelmed with calls, they'll call the off-duty guys in, which is probably relatable to a lot of the audience because, you know, most firemen across the nation are volunteer,
Mm-hmm.
or they work for a smaller department. So
Right.
Probably a lot of them know what you're talking about.
Like if you'd have to do that, sometimes it'd be like in the middle of a grocery store, having to leave all your groceries because we have one vehicle
Right.
type situation, or like in the middle of dinner. Those are like, that's like the biggest like challenge that I remember growing up, was like him having to leave like a family event or something that like we're doing just like our family, or not sleeping on the floor in my parents' room because I might get stepped on in the middle of the night if he gets a call.
Yeah.
But I feel like my mom shouldered it so well that I didn't ever really see hiccups or anything. So I hope as like your wife that I can do that like for our kids, that they're like, oh, it wasn't a big deal because mom just handled it.
Sure. Well, She made it feel normal.
Yeah, it felt very normal. I didn't feel like there was any issues with it. And I didn't see like her ever get mad that he had to go into work or anything like that, or that he had to work overtime.
Mm-hmm. No, that's good. And you do a good job of doing that for the kids. I work a lot of overtime when we're not in our busy season, and I feel like you do a good job of, sometimes you say, hey, I'm probably not going to get a lot done in the embroidery shop today, but I'm going to make sure these kids feel, less neglected. Because you're a good mom. You do a good job of telling when they need that extra attention, and you always handle it well. So something that I wanted to talk about, because a lot of fire wives experience this, and the new ones need to know. They might want to know if you have any advice for them in this area. But let's talk about when I have a rough shift, or if we have a bad call or something like that. So, I want to know how you go about noticing some of the signs, because I'm not the greatest at communicating stuff. I don't like to talk about bad calls. Mm-hmm. I don't like to put that burden on you. Mm-hmm. And but you always seem to know when something happened at work. Mm-hmm. So I guess what are some things you pick up on, and how do you go about navigating that?
I feel like a huge thing is just like knowing your husband and know like what helps. Obviously he knows that I'm always there for him to talk to, but there most of the time with bad calls, you won't tell me about it. So I've obviously some guys would benefit from therapy, but some guys don't feel comfortable opening up to a therapist. So that's always an option. But, like with you, I know that you would never open up to a stranger. Mm-hmm. So I've always been like, you need to find somebody to talk to if you don't want to talk to me.
Right.
And a lot of times you go and work out, and that helps you a lot.
Right.
But it's kind of, I guess, for like a newer firewife, lower your expectations. Don't expect them to come home and want to clean the whole house and step right in. Sometimes they need a minute, and you just have to like be there and allow them to have that space to kind of decompress from a hard shift.
Yeah. Well, we've always had an agreement too. Like, this is something that I talked about while we were on our honeymoon. Like, Memphis is way busier than Princeton. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to need like nap time. Sleep's very important for health. And we always had the agreement of 4 hours. Mm-hmm. I get 4 hours. We kind of agreed like 4 hours from the time I get home to nap. So, but you've always been more than gracious with, once my head hits the pillow, I got 4 hours. So, but yeah, no, that's good. That's good advice. What would you say are some coping strategies that maybe you use when things are hard? Maybe I've dumped something on you from a bad call. How do you cope with that? Or how do you help me cope? What are things that you try to do to help me cope?
I try to like take the stress off of you as much as I can, no matter like what it is. Like, for us at least, like cooking, cleaning, all grocery shopping, all of that's kind of on me. So like if I know that you've had like a rough shift, I'm not gonna put anything extra on you. Whether it's the kids, I try to have them come to you the least amount when I know you've had a bad shift. For sure the nap I feel like always helps you. And then I just try to encourage you to like, hey, maybe you should go work out.
Yeah.
And for me, it obviously everybody's different, but if you dumped a bad call on me, I didn't personally go through it. So all I can ever think about is like how you're reacting to it and not necessarily the call itself. Mm-hmm. There's never really been a time that you've like dumped a bad call on me and like told me what happened and I felt anything necessarily. It was more of like, oh, I know this is really bugging Cody, especially like bad kid calls.
Sure.
Like, I know that will always, because we have kids, obviously. But I'm like, go work out, go do what you need to do to decompress.
Yeah. And I think for firemen that are listening, it's, your wife. My wife has grown up around firemen. She's been married to me. So I know that if I talk about a call, it's not necessarily putting the burden on her so much. There's some stuff that I won't ever tell her, but for the most part, I feel comfortable away from the kids telling her stuff that I've seen or done. And, and so, because I know that she's my person to talk to. For the wives that are listening, so I guess what I'm saying is, know your wife, and if that's someone that you can talk to, don't be afraid to talk to them. Mm-hmm. Because I will never sit down with a person that I don't know and just say, yeah, this is the shit that I've seen and done. Mm-hmm. I'm not that type of person. I don't like talking to you about it, mm-hmm. but I do, in certain circumstances. But so just know your wife. If that's someone you can talk to them. And that's going to help grow the relationship, I think, because
absolutely
the reason that I have such a good bond with the guys and girls that I work with is because we've experienced this shit mm-hmm. together. And so when I come home and I confide in you, or I open up and share those experiences with you, about, hey, we had dealt with this kid last night or whatever, mm-hmm. I'm letting you in. I'm putting down my walls, and that helps a relationship anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the wives, would you say don't press your fireman if he doesn't want to share something with you? He may feel like he's protecting you. Mm-hmm. Or he just may not be one to open up.
Right.
Maybe just be aware. Take note of mm-hmm. the way he's acting, and maybe he had a bad shift, whether it was being up all night or he had a bad call, whatever, had a bad shift. So, like you said, you try to take the stress off of him. Is there mm-hmm. anything else that you would say for a firewife, like some advice for a firewife dealing with bad calls?
I think for one, like, know your husband. Like, there are times that I will press you to talk about it because I know that you need to get it off your chest. But there's also times where I just kind of back off and step away and let you have your moment. Or just like encourage you to like get out of the house, or, you have your couple guys that you work with that you can call and have these conversations with. Sure. Sometimes I'll encourage you to do that. But it's just to like give your husband grace in those moments, because he might be more snippy or like short-tempered. You need to like give him grace and not fight back in those moments, and just kind of take a deep breath, walk away, because it's more than likely the stress and not like you, mm-hmm. and not take things. I'm not a super sensitive person, so a lot of times I won't take things to heart. So that's something that like you have to reflect back on and be like, okay, I'm being sensitive in this moment and I need to not be.
Right. All right. Well, hopefully someone shares this with a firewife and they hear that. And hopefully for firemen that are listening, it gives a little bit different of a perspective. Mm-hmm. They might want to know what's going on in your life, right? Because that's a whole separate life almost.
Yeah.
That I live away from y'all.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Well, let's transition into something a little less serious. But what does a typical day look like around here when I'm on shift? Share your routines, the challenges, basically how you keep the family running.
Smooth sailing.
Don't lie to me.
I always feel like when you come home, it like throws a wrench into things.
Yeah.
But huge is just like routine for us. Like, I have a pretty strict schedule, I guess. We get up, we do homeschool, usually around, which if you don't know anything about homeschooling, for Wade, he's in 2nd grade, so it takes us about an hour and a half to 2 hours to get through. And then after we do that, we usually go to the gym. And then after the gym, we come home and we do lunch. And then I usually get in the office and do embroidery, and the kids just kind of play for the rest of the afternoon. And then if it's Monday through Thursday, Wade has wrestling in the evening. Otherwise, after we'll do dinner, and then we just kind of hang out and spend some family time in the evening.
Yeah. And it's really not much different from when I am here. That's pretty much what we do every day.
Yeah.
Which probably helps.
Yeah.
You know, that we do the same thing every day, because then when Dad's not home, then it's just another day.
Yeah.
So, and that probably helps the kids a lot with, you know, the missing me and, you know, why is Dad not here? But if the day, because nothing changes.
Right.
So, all right. What about, all right, so what about some tips for other firewives? Let's focus on specifically new firewives. As far as like building resilience to every aspect, being home alone, taking care of kids on their own, dealing, you know, we kind of already touched on the bad calls, but just building overall resilience to the lifestyle of fire service.
I mean, you have to be real with yourself. It's going to be lonely, especially like for me, I have kids that keep me busy, but like if I didn't have kids, like it would be lonely. So a huge thing for me was when Cody first started to work his like overnight shifts. Wade was really little, but I found like one show that I just like watched while he was at work. And I feel like it was something that I could look forward to. But other than that, like finding hobbies, like I love to read. So that's like a big one for me, but finding hobbies will help like combat the loneliness. And obviously like your perspective, like have things to look forward to for when he's on shift. Like I get to starfish in the bed and you won't be there. Just take up any other room.
Yeah. Yeah. Go pick up some more overtime because you're taking up half the bed.
Yeah. Can't have that.
Right.
But, and then huge thing for me is I feel like other firewives that I've like talked to about things that like you butt heads with is lower your expectations for when they come home. For me, I don't ask Cody to help around the house with like anything. So I know that is like my role, and having like strict roles in our marriage has helped us so much. I don't get frustrated that he's not like stepping up and doing things around the house because I know that's just what I do. Right. But like when it comes to like my vehicle, I'm not touching it. Right. And when it comes to the yard outside, I'm not touching it.
I don't want you to touch it.
Good. I don't want to. Well, sometimes I want to. So it's just having those specific roles have helped us so much. I feel like when early on in our relationship, that was one thing we butt heads on a lot, is that I wanted, granted, I was working full time at the time.
Right.
So I feel like that's a little different, but especially like if you stay home and don't expect your husband to know what you want them to do.
Right.
Like learn how to just like ask. And I know that is very controversial and some people don't like to do that, but that will take stress off too. If you're just like, hey, will you take the garbage out?
Well, communication's huge, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, you have to communicate your expectations, your frustrations.
Yeah.
If you don't tell me that you're upset about something, I'll never know.
Right. You can't read my mind.
I can tell that you're upset.
Right.
And to me, I'm like, whatever, because she might be upset at me, or she might be upset about something I did in her dream last night.
Hey, stop cheating on me in my dream.
Well, hey. Also, like finding support, right? Or, like you said, other firewives, friends, whatever, having a support group or someone that you can just hang out with, or that you can get help from if I'm not available.
Right.
whatever. That's probably a big part in it.
Yeah, because everything goes wrong on shift day.
Every time.
Every time. Yeah, having a community makes a huge difference. And for the longest time, we didn't really have one.
No, we didn't.
But we found a church that we really enjoy, and so that's helped with our community a lot. Like during our busy season, our busy Christmas season that we just went through, our kids were like fine with me, but I was like, they need to get out of the house. And so I texted a friend and I was like, can I drop my kids off for a few hours?
Yeah.
So just like having a community makes a huge difference, and learn to ask for help, because I do not like to ask for help at all. But that is something I've had to learn how to do, because you can't do everything on your own and expect to not stress yourself out.
Right. Yeah, it takes a village.
It really does.
That's the old saying, takes a village. What about self-care? What are things that you do or things that you've found to help over the years with the stress of doing all this on your own when I'm not around or whatever? What are some self-care tips?
Honestly, working out. Do yourself a favor, if you have kids, find a gym that has childcare, because that has made a world of a difference for me. When we first moved back in with Cody after the tree incident, I was working out at home, and my stress levels were just like so high because I was trying to adjust back into being full-time firewife and running a business and all those things, which I guess I didn't jump in. You did most of that by yourself. And then I jumped in. I feel like it was more like this past summer.
Yeah. You've always kind of done a little bit. You've always had your hand in the pot.
Yeah, that's true. But I was trying to work out at home, because that working out is just the one thing that will always be my stress reliever. And then we ended up finding a gym that had childcare, and that has made a huge difference. And like, I have friends that go to the gym, so it's like, not only do I get a workout, but I also get to like socialize without my kids.
Well, when we started dating, we were going to the gym together.
Yeah, we lost a bunch of weight. Both of us did.
Yeah, we need to do that again.
Jeez, thanks, babe.
I need to do that again. We'll edit that out.
Oh, yeah.
But that's something I think we bonded over too, was going to the gym.
Yep.
I've always really enjoyed going with you. And then for a while, you were working at home. I was going to ATC, which doesn't have childcare.
Yep.
And then, like you said, we found this gym that it's the YMCA, has childcare. And I've really enjoyed going as a family again. Yeah. You got the windows in the gym that you can see your kids at all times. And I enjoy just watching them interact with other kids. I like just being able to look across the gym and watch you do your thing, or we work out together or whatever. So I've enjoyed that a lot. And like you said, self-care is huge for your mental clarity, stress relief, and obviously physical fitness and health. So, well, let's speaking of the kids, let's kind of we'll shift gears and look at how being a fireman and fire wife have kind of changed our perspectives as far as being parents. Where's it at? Oh. What do you think are some lessons that we've learned from like the fire service towards parenting?
Well, one thing that you were very adamant about when we had Wade was that you did not want to co-sleep.
Right.
Ever. Because you've been on calls where parents have co-slept and the baby didn't make it. So that was like one thing. I'll never forget, there was one time you came home from work and Wade he was a terrible sleeper. And we had both fallen back asleep in the bed. And you were like, please don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah. And so that's always stuck in my mind because of the things you've seen and told me about.
I think I'm the same rail, but a little bit different perspective too. We used to have that owlet And
yeah, that's true.
there would be times where you would call me on shift and you're like, this was with Addie.
Yeah.
Her O2 dropped down to like 92, and because of my training and schooling, I'm like,
it's fine.
It always drops when we sleep,
Yeah.
but so it's helped us in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
It's helped us look after our kids better.
Mhm.
It's also given us some reassurance that they're not dying just because they're sleeping, What else? What else do you think that it's changed our parenting?
Well, something I never thought of. So our house, the bedrooms are split. So there's a bedroom at the front of the house, and then there's 2 bedrooms at the back of the house. The living room, and then the kitchen, which has washer and dryer in it also. And Cody is very, very adamant that our kids share a room, and he didn't want to split them up or have us come take the bedroom at the front of the house, because if anything's going to start on fire, it would be between us and the kids.
Yeah. The kitchen is one of the most, statistically, the kitchen is where the fire would most likely start.
Right.
And also the dryer is between those bedrooms too.
Right.
So you're right. That is actually what I said, is that if a fire were to break out, it's not going to probably be in the bathroom on the one end or either end. And it's probably not going to be in the bedrooms on either end, because we don't use space heaters either.
Right.
And it would completely isolate the adults from the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I really didn't want the kids living or sleeping apart from each other, because I wanted Wade to be able to help Addie if something were to happen. So
yeah.
I didn't even think of that one, but that is something that probably a lot of families wouldn't think of. Sleeping with our doors closed.
Yep.
Is another thing, which is something that all families should do. There's so many studies about showing one side of the doorway to the other where, the doorway kept the fire from getting in there. But yeah, I would say that there's definitely some things where maybe we've been a little overcautious because of it. But I'm also, you are too, but I'm the type where I'm like, just go be a kid, go play, go do this. But then when it comes to the things that matter, I think it's helped us.
I feel like you have to have a good balance in parenting.
Yeah.
Whether you're from a fire family or not, but you have to have a good balance of like teach your kids that like there's certain things that you have to take really seriously, and there's certain things you can just kind of be a kid about.
Yeah.
Like even like which not fire related, but even just like stranger danger at the park. Because Cody and I like to walk at the park, and the kids will play, and so there's we've told Wade that he can say I don't effing know you, but obviously with the actual cuss word.
Yeah.
And that's the only time he's allowed to say that.
Yeah.
But it would alert not only us, but anybody else.
Right.
Because what are you going to say? What are you going to think when you hear a 7-year-old say it?
Right.
The F word?
Well, if anything else, it's going to get tons of attention.
Absolutely.
And yeah, but I think it's helped too with instill some values. Yeah. I mean, a lot of values and morals that you have as an adult are from growing up or whatever, but there's definitely a mission, a core value, morals and ethics, that there's a standard to being a fireman. Well, I'll say for most of us, not everyone, but I would say that being a fireman has helped me, even if I didn't intend for it. It's helped me instill certain values in our kids.
Yeah.
Like being hard workers and caring about people. And we don't judge people by how they look or, if they're a boy or girl, stuff like that. And I think that just comes from genuinely wanting to be a good care provider and a good fireman. And those types of people just inherently they care about everyone.
Yeah.
And they're hard workers. They're type A personalities. And I think that, to do this job and to do it well, that's how you are. And I
Yeah.
think our kids have gotten the luxury of, or hopefully it's a luxury that
Right.
we provide, seeing that in you and me, and they're developing that now. I can see that they're developing that now.
Yeah.
So what's some advice that you would give for other fire families, especially the young ones? Yeah, I'm kind of focusing this towards like new fire wives, young fire families,
Right.
Because we haven't been doing this for 20 years. So
No.
we still have a lot to learn, but there's still a lot, and it's our duty to share what we know, right? That's something that I've been transitioning through, right? Because I've been doing this for a total of 11 years. I've been doing it in Memphis for 6. So I'm kind of transitioning from learning 100% of the time to learning and teaching. This is my duty, right?
Right.
The older guys taught me. Now I'm teaching the young guys. So kind of the same thing that we're doing here. We don't know it all, but we've been through some shit.
Right.
And so what's some stuff that you would advise to young fire families?
Be intentional with your time. Like, I mean, nowadays, phones and stuff, but just try to like put your phone up. And unfortunately, with your job, I never know when you might not come back through the door. So I need to be intentional with the time that I do have with you, and like the kids have with you. Not to be morbid, but being intentional so that they have those times, and like especially because we are so busy between our business and now we have podcasts and everything else that we have going on. I feel like it's so important that we are spending intentional time together. We do movie nights a lot. Now we've been adding some like game nights in, and that's just like really important to the kids. Every once in a while we'll have like an outing. Luckily, with being in Memphis area, we have a lot of things that we can do around the city. But they love going to the zoo and stuff like that. So just making sure that we're spending intentional time together.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you had to give, it's not the same because you're not a fireman, but if you had to give a leadership tip, something that I ask a lot of my guests is, if you had to get a leadership tip, I guess let's say, how would you support your spouse if he's having a tough shift? He hasn't gotten home yet. He's still on shift and it's kind of tough, and he's kind of sharing that with you. How can you support him, I guess virtually, or, in that distance?
I guess just being an ear. I always try to make sure that, that I'm here, I'll listen. So being an ear is a huge thing, and just like make sure that you're coming home to like a not stressful environment.
Yeah.
You're not gonna walk in the door with me screaming at the kids, or I'm trying to make it as less chaotic as possible. Because if anyone gets off of a shift and they're already stressed out, and then you walk into a stressful environment, that's just gonna make it 10 times worse.
Yeah.
So I just try to make sure that it's like a calm environment, and even like even in those moments, sometimes I just like try to put my stress on the back burner and just try to focus on you.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good tip. All right. So what about like just share a story about, it could be a funny story or a hard time or a struggle of something that y'all did here at home while I was on shift.
I mean, we've had
just a memorable day, I guess.
Well, I feel like we've had so many of them because I am grateful that I get to stay home with them, so I get to share all of their memories with them. Especially like with Addie, I haven't really worked at all without her. So we've had just so many like awesome memories. We when I was super pregnant with Addie, I set up the air mattress in the living room, and Wade and I had a slumber party in the living room. We had
a projector too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I set that up. So Wade and I me and him just had a whole movie night, and it was just the two of us before Addie. I think I was like, I'm pretty sure I was like 39 weeks pregnant. Like, wasn't far from. So that was an awesome memory that I had with him. But when we were living up north, I was working as a bartender at the time, and so I would try once a week to take them to do something fun, and we would go to the movies. We went to where my sister lives in Bloomington, Illinois, and we went to Children's Museum. So I've had a lot of those memories with them that have been so nice, and especially now that Wade is homeschooled, we have even more opportunities to do things like that.
Yeah.
And we love to like do the zoo and all of those things. And Wade has even enjoyed coming into the office and like helping us with embroidery and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. So I just want to offer up to anyone that's watching or listening to leave a comment, or you can either leave a comment about something that you relate to in this episode, or if you have a question for us. We just would love to hear about, your experiences and things that you do either as a firewife or as a fireman or a fire family that makes this journey easier or whatever. We want to hear from y'all about your experiences as a fire family too. So as we wrap up, just kind of recapping on the episode, it can be lonely as a firewife.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be challenges with schooling and, being a part-time single mom.
Yep.
Or a part-time single spouse, because there's women firemen. Maybe they're stay-at-home dads. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. It's 2026. But
it's true.
If there's rough calls, just being an ear and a shoulder, right, and understanding that you might not be the fix for everything,
mm-hmm,
right? It might be the gym for some people. It might be going to talk to somebody. Hopefully it's not a bottle, but maybe it's a bottle.
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
I lean on Alps. So if Tucker Carlson wants to sponsor this episode, that would be great. Always open to some Alps. But, and just embracing the moments that you have together.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is that any day could be the last day.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And that's something that you and I have talked about,
mm-hmm,
is that it's a dangerous job.
It is.
I'm going to do my job to the fullest.
Mm-hmm.
And I've even said too that when the tones drop, I don't think about y'all anymore. Mm-hmm. I just don't. And I guess I never have.
I don't want you to.
Yeah, but it's, I'm not, whatever. When the tones drop, I start thinking about work.
Right.
And so it's realistic that any day I could leave on the fire truck and never come back.
Mm-hmm.
So spending that time together and just making the most of every moment,
mm-hmm,
is basically, what we've talked about here.
Along with, you don't think about us. Something that I try not to do is, even if I'm super pissed off at you, I try not to fight with you while you're at work, because I don't ever want your head to be on me and not on your job, where you could mess up and not come back home.
Sure.
Because we got into a fight.
Yeah. Or just even just our last conversation being a fight.
Yeah. That's just, for me, it's just not worth it.
Right.
Like, there's no fight in the world that would be worth that to me.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree 100%. Well, how can you're growing your social media.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be a part-time influencer, along with being a part-time single mom and a part-time business owner.
I'm just going to add another hat.
Yeah. You're just a full-time human being.
I guess.
Yeah. Part-time everything, full-time human being. So where can people follow your stuff? You're on Instagram, TikTok?
Yep. Believe my TikTok is Erin Hill 38. And then on Instagram, I'm Erin Jean Hill.
Okay. And for those of you that are following the show, next week or in 2 weeks, we will have Michael Goldstein on here. He goes by Stickers, and he has a podcast. It's the Can Report. So he'll be our next guest. It's going to be an awesome conversation. It's probably going to be another hot desk or hot seat. Going to be another hot seat episode, more than likely. So tune in for that. Before we wrap this up, I do have to ask just one more favor. If you've enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button wherever you're listening. It helps us keep this thing going. And like I said, lets you know the second that a new episode drops. And hey, if you think someone that you work with would enjoy this, or someone that you know would enjoy what we're doing here, share it with them. Send them the link, maybe tag them, whatever you got to do. This podcast is for everyone, right? It's not just for firemen, and it helps us spread the word. We're on Instagram, TikTok, so give us a follow at Engine House Podcast. We're going to be posting some behind the scenes stuff, some products, and the chaos of what it takes to create a podcast. So again, check out our sponsors, the Kitchen Table Foundation at thekitchentablefoundation.org, and Engine House Designs on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, and YouTube now at Engine House Designs. Also check out enginehousedesigns.com. Thanks for hanging out with us. Stay safe out there. Take care of each other. And as always, ignite the pride. We'll catch you on the next one.